In this video, we're going to be looking at a hover mechanic. Now, the way a hover mechanic normally works in games is that you hold down a key, such as spacebar, and you get to go horizontally across the screen for a little bit, and then the character slowly starts to fall back down. That's the bit that we really want to nail in this video. It's not just get the player just to drop when they run out, but to slowly fall down until they reach their max speed again. So how do we add this? So the first thing we need to do is we need to insert a new object, and we need to add in the keyboard if we've not done so already. This gives us access to some keyboard functions, allows us to check if a key is pressed. So now the rest we're going to do in our event sheet. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to check if the keyboard button is pressed. So is key down, spacebar. So if the key is down, what we want to do is we want to take our player and we want to change its max full speed. Now this is how fast the player falls, and we want to set that max full speed to 0. This means the player no longer falls when the space bar is being pressed. Now we can reverse this, and we can say that when we let go of that key, we can set the max full speed back to 1000, which is my default. And if you don't know what your default is, click on your player, scroll down, and you can see the max full speed here. So with that set up, we can hold down space, we can hover, move across. The moment we let go, our player starts to fall. So this is really good, but the player can do this indefinitely. Also, the player just drops. We want them to drop a little bit more slowly. So first thing we need to do is we're going to add a fuel meter. So we're going to type in fuel as the name of our variable and press OK. And we're going to set it to be 100 by default. So the player's got 100 fuel. Now every time they're holding space, we want to take that fuel value, we want to subtract 1 from it. So there's a penalty now for using this ability. Also, what we want to do is we want to add another condition. And now the requirements for flying is we need to be able to hold space, and we also need to have at least more than 0 fuel. So greater than 0 fuel. So now that's set up, we've got a punishment for flying, which is it subtracts fuel, and a check to make sure they can only use this ability if they've got fuel. Next, we're going to make it so if they haven't got fuel, we're going to break them out of it. So first of all, it stops if they stop holding space. But what we want to also do is take them out of it if they've run out of fuel as well. So system, conveyor variables, and fuel. And I like to use less than or equal to 0. Just covers some extra options if you decrease more fuel than just one at a time. So if that's the case, then we set the max full speed back to 1000. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add that mechanic where we slowly fall instead of just dropping. So instead of setting our full speed back to 1000, first of all with this one we just need to make sure it's an OR block. So if either of these are true, we'll break them out. So max full speed, what we're going to do now is we're going to set this, let's get it to be 1000. We're going to say player dot platform because we want access to the platform functions and variables, and then max full speed. So it's going to equal the current max full speed plus 10. This means every game tick, we're going to increase this by 10 if they're not holding down the space or they've got no fuel. Finally, what we want to do is we just want to do a bit of a simple check to see if they've got, and finally, we just want to add one more here. This one's really important, is we want to just compare two variables, and we just want to actually check if the player's max full speed, so platform max full speed, is not equal to 1000. This just means that when we're playing the game normally and not using this ability, it's not going to affect us. So it's a really important one to add as well to the end there. Finally, we need to set the max full speed back to normal and reset our fuel. So to do this, we're just going to add a new event, player, and we're going to go down to the platform settings, and there's a lovely one here called is on floor. And for me, this is going to be how I'm going to reset it. So as soon as the player touches the floor again, we gave their fuel back. They also get their max full speed back to normal. So the game operates as normal. They're no longer hovering at a different full speed. So player Then we want to set max full speed and put that back to default. So as soon as they hit the ground, we go back to normal. We no longer have this sort of floatiness. And we also want to say fuel, set value, and we want to set fuel to 1,000 again, to 100 again. So we've got 100 fuel. So with all that set up, we can test it. Now when I hold space, I'm floating, and then I'll slowly fall down. And again, we can adjust the speed of that by changing how much we increase this max full speed by. If I change it to 1 now, I'll be able to float a lot longer before I start falling down. So you see that my play is slowly falling down and slowly drifting down. So if you ever want to adjust this, it's this line of code here, and you're just changing this number on the end.